Hello and welcome back once more to the Single Malt Review. This vast white obelisk here, which may or may not be showing up on the camera, is in fact whiskies from Paul John. Have to stop myself from saying John Paul every single time. But we're off to a good start. What have you got?
Well, John Distilleries have been distilling out of Goa in India since 1996. We've looked at 3 of their whiskies in the past. In fact, 3 of those are in this sampler here, so we're not going to relook at them. We have it's basically like a smorgasbord of the entire core range. There is Brilliance, which is unpeated, Edited, which combines peated Scottish barley and Indian barley. Then there is Bold, which is entirely peated with imported Isla peat, but uses all Indian barley. We've looked at those in the past. I enjoyed them all greatly. Tim also enjoyed them, not quite as much as me. What we have here, though, are 2 of the Select Cask options, which are, say, the cask strength versions. We have the Classic Select Cask, which is utterly unpeated, and then the Peated Select Cask, which is basically that, but with peat.
Utterly peated?
Yes.
Well.
So they're all bourbon casks, and in this case, yes, so no age statement, of course, because it's going to be relatively young, as is the case for Indian whiskey, because of the terrific climate.
More or less across the board.
Yeah. Let's start with Classic Select Cask.
That would seem the sensible way around to do it.
It's bottled at 55.2% ABV. Interestingly, the small bottles we have here give the percentage in alcohol by volume, but also in British proof.
Yeah, British proof.
Not the proof we're used to. In this case, 55.2 ABV, which is 96.6 degrees proof.
Yeah, British proof. A lot trickier than American proof, where you only have to double the ABV and you've got the proof. The British having slightly different stipulations about their whiskey / state of their gunpowder. The proof demanded a bit more from the ABV. So if you see a British proof, which you almost universally will not, because it seems to only crop up on Indian whiskey these days, then yeah, your calculation will have to be a bit more modified. Is it going to give away?
A little bit difficulty with the old
That seems to me, I've had trouble in the past with these. We had a lot of eternally rotating caps, and those and the ironwoods. A scourge of bad cappery going on.
So we have it unchill filtered whiskey, possibly coloured. I don't know. I'd assume not, but it's more or less fine by not chill filtered, which is the key thing I'm looking for. Lovely high proof. Be a few years old.
Is there any stipulation as to the wood?
Bourbon cask.
Right.
Yeah, these are pretty much everything that's, if it's not a bourbon cask, it's front and centre on the label for Paul John. All these, the classic range use, all bourbon. Let's move this box out of line of sight, get down the visual clutter.
So that's got a good froth on that one, so we'll look for...
Now, Paul John Brilliance, the unpeated option, was my favourite. It's going, I believe, 90 points for me, 90% in our initial review some couple of years ago. That is quite a viscous, oily body happening there. There's a lot of activity. The Indian barley is, I believe, known for a higher protein content as opposed to Scottish barley, which would, I assume, lend itself to more oils.
Well, distillers' barley is... The aim is to have as low protein as possible, because that'll muck up your spirit. So the oil content kind of comes and goes differently. It could be that the typical distilling barley just is not historically grown in India, which would make sense. Them only having recently gotten into malt whiskey distillation, but normally in normal operating parameters, you're looking for a low protein or lower protein as you can get,
more starch and
barley,
simple sugars.
which gives you more alcohol, less funk that you need to then distill out of your spirit. So that's, I've just tipped a wee bit onto my hands here.
I did wonder about that. Yeah,
there's a distinct aroma in here, which I'm so close to buttoning down.
It is quite a remarkable nose too. There's a lot of fresh wood on there, but also a unique spices and wood bark, or as other hallmarks of Indian single malt that were tried in the past.
Beeswax.
Beeswax.
It's almost...
I see what you mean.
There's almost too much of it. That's why I was mucking around with it on my hands. Almost too much of it in the glass because there's so much other flavours going on and it's so concentrated. But if you distill it down a wee bit, beeswax candle is what that is. There's a little bit of that sort of paraffin quality, but
there's also a bit of
lots of honey.
There's some citrus rind, thinking grapefruit, and maybe some candied rind as well.
I'm thinking, like marmalade, like old, British style
It's
marmalade.
a very inviting nose. It just keeps you going back for more. It's
like grapefruit with all the pith and the peel still in there, kind of a thing. A bittersweet grapefruit.
Scented candles, a bit of cardamom.
And
it is so aromatic, so fragrant. It's so perfumed.
Yeah, very, very woody.
Yeah.
So maybe slightly fresher than normal.
There's a lot of very young spirit in here, I'd say, because of
it doesn't smell. There's not a lot of raw spirit going on. It's as we know, Indian whiskey ages just like Taiwanese whiskey and so on. Yeah. Ages just goes off like a rocket.
Especially in tropical regions of Goa.
You'll achieve, not to say that it's merely a case of time compression and you achieve exactly what you would over 10 years in Scotland, but in terms of the alcohol coming down and the spirit kind of beveling off a little bit, that does happen faster.
The Angel's share in that part of the world is very generous.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try that at its full strength. Ooh.
That's not bad.
That is warm. It is not as punchy as you might expect for something that's over 55%.
That's not.
It's remarkably approachable. That's
55. It's not blowing me up.
Yeah.
55. That's because to come down to 55, you'd normally be looking at more or less a 12-year-old whiskey in Scottish terms, if not something much, much older. I've seen 12-year-old whiskies, 15-year-old whiskies, 20-year-old whiskies that are still in the high 50s of their cask strength. It really just depends on the cask.
It could be it's likely a combination of a cask here to result in this particular strength. But
this one is remarkably approachable at full strength.
Almost, dangerously so. The flavour profile aligns very closely with the nose as well. You can match up what you're tasting with what you're smelling almost one for one.
I think the palate is just a little bit slightly drier. The wood is a little stronger. The honey beeswax quality is a little more distant, and I think we're going to see a real outburst of fruit once we add a bit of water.
I'm getting a bit of toffee from the taste too. Let's see, the tasting notes suggest malted barley, obviously. Oh, Manuka honey like licorice.
Wow.
That's impressive, referencing local New Zealand honey.
Grab there.
Yeah. Unexpected toasted honeycomb following its wake.
So, chucking a wee bit of water in here super speeds up the nose and the palate here, and it freshens up all those fruits.
You can add a generous amount of water too. It's quite a strong whiskey, obviously, as it is. There we go.
Here we are. Yeah, now we're getting into the sort of fruit spectrum.
There's mango, there's fruit nectar, fruit smoothies, touch of lassi. It's lassi yolks and mango lassi.
Super tropical now.
Yeah.
That's definitely killed off the beeswax. It has significantly shut down the slightly drier wood. It's gotten much sweeter.
Some apricot, a bit of ginger. It is, it's a very versatile whiskey, but it is transformed significantly by watering it.
It's not too often that we get one that is good on both ends of the spectrum, but this one really is. This one is... There's a naughty thing I like to do with some cask strength whiskies that have this interesting profile, is to pour a glass and then just put one really big ice cube in there, and then as you sort of enjoy it over at least 15 minutes, even longer sometimes, especially if you pour a big one, as the ice cube slowly melts, you get to taste it, and it's sort of transition from completely undiluted to a little bit, to a bit more, to a bit more, to a bit more, to a bit more, and you get more and more water influence as time goes on. And there are some typically younger, typically very flavourful, strong cask strength whiskies which are really good candidates for this. And this is, I think, would stand up to that, some may call it heretical treatment But yeah, I think this would do just fine there, and then you'd be able to sort of taste the full kind of a spectrum, but you'd need far longer than we're going to commit to tape here.
That beeswax is back. There's a good kind of a sheen of it on top of the other flavours now. It's had time to emerge.
It's more of a, for me, it's less of a wax, and it's gone more of a, like a runny honey now. Like a real squeezable honey. That's got a lot going for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find that the Indian whiskies end up a little bit sort of, I don't know, like too sort of back palate heavy. There's a lot of spiciness, there's a lot of fruity esters, but there isn't a lot of sort of flowing, crisp ripeness at the front of the palate. This one has no such problems. This one is really, really good all the way down.
And to think we can take what's unashamedly a very young whiskey at cask strength and have it be that drinkable. At that strength, that is kind of a
Well, you have to kind of rethink how you even look at and approach what's young whiskey and what's not when you move from Scotland to India, because you're in a whole different dimension of how fast things age over there, and you really have to reconfigure how you calculate what's old and what's not, because this is probably 5-year-old whiskey. You know, it'd be pretty stunning if it was older than 6, really. And it's mature whiskey, and it would not be, was it aged somewhere.
There may be some younger whiskey there too, obviously, to balance out to get the exact percentage that they go for with this particular expression.
But this, I think, is probably easily some of the, in terms of what I've enjoyed, some of the best Indian whiskey I've encountered yet. It's one that I've gotten more and more sold on as time has gone on, and as Indian whiskey has become more and more sort of confident in itself and has moved away from doing the sort of fusion whiskies, which at the very beginning contained straight out Scotch whiskey, and then moved into using some Scotch malt grain. Still do it for peated, because there's not a lot of, no great many peating facilities over there in India.
Paul John do import some peat straight from Ireland.
Yes.
Some of their malt.
So the Scottish influence does still find its way in. But this, I think, is really pretty tremendous. It's 90 from me. It's so close to a 91 too.
Yeah.
But I'll stick with the 90. I might be getting one from you though. It sounds like
it's a firm 91 from me. This has replaced Paul John Brilliance as my favourite of their lineup, their highest scorer from me. It's a similar beast in that it's all Indian barley, all bourbon barrels, no peat. It's just such an elegant showcase of all that is good and unique in Indian single malt whiskey. Those climatic influences and rapid maturation, the different characters you get from having their own local species of barley involved. It's just does all those things, does them so well. It ticks all my personal whiskey boxes as well. Sweet, spicy, invigorating. If you're into a drier, more sedate whiskey, then you won't rate it as highly as I do.
Yeah, no way.
This is a very subjective score, but it is just... If you want to see young bourbon cask matured whiskey done expertly, it'll be hard to get any better than this.
This one is ripe AF. It is just so, especially with water, and I think necessarily with water to get those fruits really, really bouncing. But
it has a spicy vigour to it at its full strength as well.
Boy, is it a juicy whiskey. I think, not to play favourites, but this particular bottle has... Paul John is now really only have 2 candidates, if we don't count Mohan Meakin, which we do not. My favourite Indian distiller now. I was kind of on the fence before, but until I taste something equally amazing from Amrut, I think Paul John is now the favourite from me. Right. So I think my scores will hopefully bear that out. But
I tend to think that Amrut are excellent, Paul John are even better.
Yeah, they're both tremendous Indian distilleries, but if I had to play favourites, I'd say Paul John is on the cutting edge of making things that I like at the moment. So we'll do a brief cut rather than keep the tape running for the peated. But boy, am I looking forward to that.
Yes.
It's going to have to be so good to be better than this one, but all bets are off, I suppose. So we will catch you very, very shortly. We'll get straight into it.